Yeah.
All right, we're back. Another week of the Mush. I think it's week 14, all the conference championships. Short week, but definitely a fun week. Quick recap. Gorney and I went 8-7 on the week. John went 9-6. John came all the way back. He made it. Him and Gorney are tied at 70-75, and I'm at 73-72. Our three locks collectively all hit. I had Arizona, Gorney had Western Kentucky, and John had Missouri. All three hits. So the boys are moving. We're hitting positives every week, and the numbers are climbing. People making money. People making money on the Mush. So, but anyways, we move on to our first couple of very exciting games of the week. So let's get it rolling. Boise State going. Well, it's actually kind of a home game, even though it's not supposed to be. But UNLV 2.5.
Yeah, I would just like to start by saying the Western Kentucky was really a nail biter down the stretch. they were up. I have to pull this up first because it was really it started to really get under my skin. Western Kentucky was up 41-14 going to the fourth quarter. They were up 34-7 at half. I was like, collecting my money already if I were to bet. And then FIU scores twice real quick to start the fourth quarter. And then they scored with 55 seconds left. And it was really ugly. And I was getting really upset about it. But and then they had an onside kick that they recovered. It was very nail biter, but we got that. All right, let's move on. This is the lock of the week. Boise State has been here 50 million times. UNLV has never been here. Boise State knows what to expect. UNLV doesn't know what to expect. The Spencer Danielson at Boise State might be coaching for the job. Barry Odom did so much better than anyone expected in year one. Barry Odom didn't get the Oregon State job, with which he, was a name mentioned. Everything here is lining up even more. The public slightly likes UNLV, and all the money is flowing in on Boise here. So a lot of that money lives in Vegas, and they're not backing their own team. So I'm taking Boise State here as the lock of the week, and to cover the small spread.
Yeah, look, this is the time of year Boise State lives for, right? This is what they do. This is their postseason. So I think their fan base, even though it's in Las Vegas, will probably travel and show up a little bit more than the Rebels will. So I do think Boise State has some advantages, although, like you said, AG, fired the coach. There's not a lot of scenarios where there's an incumbent or a potential incumbent coach coaching for a conference championship, but Boise has still been there and done that. I do think it gives them the benefit of the doubt, especially with a small margin. 2.5 is not a lot to ask. Boise lives for these moments, and they will make sure to make it happen one more time.
Yeah, I was kind of in between, but Gorney, you sold me on the coach possibly getting the job. I love those storylines. My Disney Cinderella moments, absolutely. I'll take Boise State then. They got to play for the coach, Rudy style. Carry him off the field at Allegiant, and we'll take home the 2.5. So, all right, SMU, Tulane 3.5.
Yeah, sort of differing styles here, but I like SMU. I might regret this pick, and Tulane is just a very sound team. We know they're going to be under Willie Fritz, but SMU can score, and they have transfers on that team that were like elite Power 5 players. So they're set. And what I also like is they're 7-1 in the last 8 times that they've played Tulane straight up. Maybe they tighten up and choke in a championship situation, of which Tulane is comfortable playing in. But I'm just not sold here. I'm going to take SMU, the team that can score the points, and some of the trend lines heading in their direction.
Yeah, this is a sneaky good game. I think the over might be a safer bet than the line here for Tulane or SMU, but I'm going to go the other way. I think Michael Pratt could be potentially auditioning for some major spots at the Power 5 level through the transfer portal. That storyline can either make or break Tulane. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt in this one, although, again, SMU can absolutely score. So, again, bet the over, but I'll take Tulane minus 3.5.
It is shocking to me that Pratt still has eligibility left after this year. I feel like I saw one of my first It's probably not fair to him. I think I saw him at one of my first ever Rivals camps that I actually worked, but he might have been a freshman. But it just seems like he's been in my life for a long time. But he's a great quarterback. But I'm going to take Tulane here. I picked him as my first week lock of the week, and they did look very well. I actually wanted to make it my lock this week, but I don't love the 3.5 to fully make it the lock. But definitely Tulane's going to win this game, and they have my pick for sure. Exciting matchup here. New Mexico State is going versus Liberty 11.5. Couldn't get through that. Sorry.
Yeah. I heard the cracking, the laughter. I'm gonna take Jerry Kill. I think his team has been playing really, really well. They went to Auburn and won, which might not be a massive feat with that team, but then Auburn came back and almost beat Alabama the next week. And I get it. It's the Iron Bowl and everything weird happens in that game. But Liberty runs the ball a ton. And I think just New Mexico State is going to be stout. I don't know if they win the game. Liberty, God is on their side. But New Mexico State, 10.5, I'm going to take it and hope that they can hang a little bit. I just don't think Liberty is going to blow anybody out in this situation. So I'm going to take New Mexico State. I think they're actually pretty sneaky good and very well coached.
Yeah, I'm co-signing AG on this one. Jerry Kill's been maybe done the best job of any coach in 2023 relative to what he inherited. Liberty can score. We know that. Caden Salter's another name that the portal kind of wants to pull in there. So I gave the benefit of the doubt for Pratt's audition in the last pick. I won't give it twice for Caden Salters, although, again, he's another one that Power 5 schools are going to want to jump all over. So I think the Aggies cover or with their points, they get it done. Liberty probably wins the game, but it'll be a really close one. 11.5, way too much.
Yeah, I'll just agree with you guys. I'm going to go New Mexico here. I actually looked, and New Mexico lost to Liberty earlier in the year, it looks like. I didn't even know they played. 33-17, but yeah, they're playing too hot right now. They'll at least cover the game. Maybe, and they've played some good competition, like as of late, obviously with the Auburn. So hopefully that helps them in this game. All right, we're going to the big games now. Louisville, Florida State, 2.5.
Yeah, this line actually kind of surprised me. They're giving Tate Rodemaker maybe no respect at all. This line has come down though from 6.5 where it opened, and the public and the public is split on this game, but the money is flooding to Louisville. So I'm going to take the Cardinal here, and for many reasons. One, Florida State didn't look very good against an average to bad Florida team, playing their backup quarterback who's now in the portal. Only in 2023 can you say something like that. And Louisville kind of had, again, sort of a dud game against Kentucky. They've responded in those situations. So 2.5 is basically picking Louisville to win this game and ruining Florida State's chances to be in the college football playoff. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take Louisville here. I think that they have playmakers. They can make this game really tough on Florida State's defense. I'm going to take the Cardinals here, although I do not love this pick.
Yeah, this is funky, right? Obviously, backup quarterback situation for Florida State. Didn't look great last week. We talked about these offenses that sort of bother Florida State, and Louisville is probably the most potent that they will have faced here down the stretch. I look at the other side, though. So we assume Louisville can get into the 20s. What about FSU under Rodemaker? I don't know. I'm not sure. We didn't see a whole lot of downfield ability against defense that fired their secondary coach like 2 days later. So I don't have a lot of confidence there. But FSU is getting a little healthier, and they finally, and maybe it was because they were down, they finally decided to just run the damn ball. And I know down south a lot of folks look for that. So I think Trey Benson can be the difference maker in this game. I'm going to take FSU with that assumption that they're going to come out running the football against what's a pretty good defense. But Louisville hasn't looked good defensively the last couple of weeks. So I'll take that benefit of the doubt for Florida State despite the backup quarterback. But the committee would love for Louisville to just take care of FSU and then allow maybe, the SEC winner in and maybe two if Alabama beats Georgia. But we'll get to that later.
So they're trying to find a way to get Bama in that playoffs, but
except for the team that beat Bama, Texas. Oh, but the eyes say that they're better now.
How dare you? How dare you bring that up?
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna go Louisville. Is Plummer still the quarterback? He's still
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll stay simple here. I'll just go with the veteran and not the backup. So
yeah, the over is the trend here. 7 of the last 9 times these teams have played, it's gone over. But man, the betting with I just don't think Florida State's going to try to open it up unless they have to, and Louisville just scores on them. I'm not crazy about the over here. I would side with Louisville, I guess.
Very good. All right, Oklahoma State, Texas, 15.5.
Okay, so this is another very interesting line. I mean, this is a big line in a big game. That's a lot of points. Oklahoma State has been here 2 years ago, and what Mike Gundy has done here has been incredible. Basically, playing Ollie Gordon, okay, that helps, and no one has to be a genius for that to happen. But after they lost to South Alabama, this team could have folded, and they just went the opposite way. And Gundy has been very, very instrumental in this. But that doesn't matter. Texas is playing for a big blowout here. They're playing to prove to the committee that they belong in the 4. I actually think they do. I think there's a massive argument that could be made, even if Florida State wins, that you take a 1-loss Texas team over an undefeated Florida State team. As stupid as that might sound to some, if we're picking the 4 best teams, do not tell me that the ACC champion who beat Louisville is better than Texas that went to Alabama and beat them by double digits. So Texas, I think, is coming into this game a little pissed off, which is great. And I'm just still not sold on Oklahoma State being elite. I could see 34-10 in this game, 35-17. I'm going to take Texas here, and they have a lot to prove going into it.
Yeah, can Okie State throw the ball and get into a shootout? Because we know Texas's offense can roll, whether it's the vertical passing game with Quinn Ewers or a multifaceted running attack. Although Brooks being out is interesting. Shout out Cedric Baxter, Floridian, who's going to carry the load there for UT. I think they can be balanced. I think they could steady that ship. So I just don't know if Oklahoma State can compete from a balanced perspective. So I think been kind of funky for them. BYU, I think, had them on the ropes pretty early last week. I was surprised by that. But, of course, Ollie Gordon brought them back. I don't see that happening 2 weeks in a row. If Texas can amass an early lead, I think they can cover 15.5. So give me hook 'em.
Let me just say one more thing. If this game is 42-14 going to the 4th quarter, and all of a sudden it's 42-28 or something like that, I'm going to be very mad, very mad. But I'm taking Texas.
Yeah, I'm taking Texas here as well. They're playing very good, and that, like Gorney kind of said all. You guys all said it all. So there's nothing else to say. Texas is the play. Not quite the lock again, but definitely the play. All right, one of our favorite teams on the mush, Michigan and Iowa, 22.5, and the over/under 35.5. It's the only game I'll only talk about the over/under on the screen. It's my favorite.
Yeah. God. So the over is hitting 7 of Michigan's last 8 games. But
and what the under for the last 40 games for Iowa?
Iowa, at least 5. The stat I have is 5 of the last 5. So I'd have to go back and see the last time. I just think Michigan overwhelms them. Michigan is just so much better. I actually would take the over in this game because I think Michigan could hit it themselves. At some point, Iowa has to, as Michigan scores, if Michigan scores, Iowa's going to have to try to respond in some way, and that's when Will Johnson has a pick 6 or something happens here. I just think Michigan overwhelms them, much like they did. Purdue, I think it was last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago. I lose track. But if we're going to go under in the last 5 games for Iowa, let me just rail off this bunch of winners. Nebraska, Illinois, Rutgers, Northwestern, and Minnesota. It doesn't get more boring than that. And the game before that, it was Wisconsin, 15-6. I'm going to say this. Iowa has played absolutely nobody this year except Penn State, and Penn State beat them 31-0. And Michigan beat Penn State pretty handily. So this could be 42-0. This is going to be this game should be moved to 9 a.m. just to get it out of the way. I don't know why it's a Saturday night game. It's going to be a bore fest. Iowa probably doesn't move the ball. I saw a stat that Iowa, and then I'll stop. Iowa's first half total is 0.5 points.
I saw that.
So
how can they grab one?
Honestly, bet the over there. Like, you have to at least think about it. So I just think Michigan rolls here. There's a sharp bet on Iowa. I think that guy is probably at the Bellagio at 4 a.m. drunk off his mind and just wants to put a bet on Iowa. There's no way that someone could really think that's going to happen. So I think Michigan rolls. I think they roll handily.
Look, this is a huge number for a conference title game, but Gorney teed it up perfectly. I mean, the road to get to this point couldn't be, more different for these two programs. And the one common good to great opponent was a very different result. So, yeah, it's hard to ignore that. And I think Michigan is kind of everything Iowa wants to be. But they have better talent and obviously better coaching, throughout the offensive and defensive staffs there. So, yeah, I think Michigan can handle this. You talk about a program on a mission, all the emotional things. Nothing has slowed down, the winged helmet. And damn it, if the Iowa Hawkeyes are what slows them down, then I'll eat whatever crow needs to be eaten because, they've answered the bell every single time. So I think Michigan rolls. Iowa barely scores, after, maybe blocking a field goal or something crazy.
Let me add one quick thing before Corey jumps in here. Everyone talks about Iowa's defense and, they're going to slow down Michigan. Michigan has allowed 23 fewer points than Iowa this year, and they've played Ohio State, and Iowa didn't. So Michigan's defense is superior to Iowa's, and they have a competent offense. So, Michigan has scored more than double the points of Iowa this year. So anyone who takes Iowa is really letting it loose.
Let it loose, Corey.
Let it loose.
See, you're gearing me up for something big, but no, I'm going Michigan. So the only locks I think are the plays, the half point in the first, and then I just got to pick the under. I think the score is going to be like 32-3. Take the under, we move on. I don't know, but it's one of my favorite games of the week that I probably won't watch just because I cannot watch Iowa. Like it's a tough game for me to watch. It's a tough team. Like Michigan, is Harbaugh going to coach this one? Is he allowed to coach this one?
He is allowed to coach this one. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's a rumor that Stallions might be in the crowd, like hanging out. I mean, there's a lot of play here. He was at
the Barstool set last week, so that loser will show up anywhere where there's a camera, I think.
Yeah, I heard he's a Dave guy, and he's in the background of everything. So if Dave shows up, Stallions. I mean, there's just a lot of play here. There's a lot going on, and I love this game that I probably won't watch. So yeah, give me Michigan. All right, here's a game I definitely will watch. Oregon, Washington, and a pretty big line, 9.5.
Yeah. So if it feels too big, it's not big enough. So Oregon. Washington has not been playing great down the stretch. They needed last-second miracles, basically, to beat Washington State last week in the Apple Cup, or whatever, Apple Bowl, Apple Cup, whatever it's called. And then this is a complete payback situation. Let's not forget, Oregon would have beaten Washington if not for some really boneheaded plays down the stretch by Dan Lanning to go for it on fourth downs. So, I just think that Washington could have lost to Washington State. They could have lost to Oregon State the week before. They could have lost to Utah 3 weeks ago, and they were involved in a shootout against USC. Big surprise. The week before that, they only beat Stanford by 9. They looked bad against Arizona State, and they were lucky to beat Oregon. Oregon has been cruising and beating up people, and this is a payback situation. I just don't see how Washington hangs in this game, honestly. So if it does happen, I'll be surprised. But I think Oregon comfortably here.
Yeah, this was the most surprising line, of the week that I saw. And I think, Gorney, you make a lot of great points. Certainly the emotion, the execution, the eye test, everything recently points towards Oregon. But this game will be indoors. And Michael Penix and that wide receiver core will have just as much opportunity as Franklin and the Duck receiver core. So I could see this becoming very similar to the first game that we saw between these two. And if anything like that becomes the case, I do think this can be a very close game. In fact, I think Penix has as much at stake here as Bo Nix or the Ducks overall. And he kind of lives up to it when they need him to. So I'm going to take that experience and give Washington the benefit of the doubt. And because it's indoors, I'm going to make it the lock of the week. I think there's no way Oregon rolls Washington. They'll probably win, and I would pick them to win straight up. But this spread was too much on my gut, and digging into it, I still think it's a little bit too much. So I think the Ducks probably take home the Pac-12 title and should roll into the playoff, but I think Washington can keep it close.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Oregon's going to win this game. No doubt about it. I have this weird feeling, though, it's going to be like a 14-point game. Washington's going to drive down, score a touchdown, do an onside kick, and not get it. And Oregon gets the win, escapes, but Washington will cover the game. And that's why I'll just have to go Washington. I know it's been my rules and all that, but all that aside, like John said, it's an indoor game. It's Penix. It's everything. But I have a weird feeling that there's going to do something crazy that Gorney's going to yell at us that like they're going to cover just at the very end, and Gorney's going to lose it. They're going to be up 21-0, chip away, weird field goal here, whatever, and then they'll score at the last second to just get it under, and then they'll lose the game, and Oregon will move on. So, but anyways, all right, my nightmare game, battle of the rules. That's what they're calling it now. Georgia, Alabama. 6.
Yeah. How do you feel? How does this one go for you? I mean, both can't win. So
I'm hoping for a wash.
I was going to say it's going to be a 6-point Georgia win, obviously.
Yeah. The trend in this game is the over. And I'm looking at the over right now. It's 54.5, which is a significantly, high score. Let's think 20, 31, 24 in that range, one way or another. People think teams are going to score here. Jalen Milroe has basically been, someone called him the best quarterback, since, no offense to Tim Tebow or something, but Jalen Milroe is, Urban called him the Percy Harvin / Reggie Bush of this. Something I remember that he was benched earlier in this season, and yes, he has played better, but I also remember that this Alabama team needed literally a miracle last week to beat Auburn. And Auburn is not a very good football team. So I'm really torn here because, Saban just doesn't lose this game. The last time he lost it, I believe, was when Florida beat them, and then Florida went on to win the national championship. I saw something like he's 15-0 in this game. Other than that game, he's 10-0 against top 10 teams, or he's 7-0 against. He just doesn't lose this game. He's going to lose this game. Georgia is far superior. They're the better team. They have the better defense. Kirby wants to take it to Saban. They're gonna. The only team that really maybe has a shot to beat them for a national championship is Michigan for the three-peat. There's no major trends to worry about Georgia here. The public siding with Georgia, but so is the money, 66, 65%. The line is under a touchdown. Yeah, I could see 35-31, but I could see 35-21 too. Just don't think Alabama has the horses here. So I'm taking Georgia. Carson Beck, big spot. I think he kind of wants to shut Milroe up a little bit as the quarterback in this game. I think Georgia, again, the SEC champions.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, it was a similar situation, right? Georgia number 1, Bama had to win to get in. But the difference in that game was you had Bryce Young play maybe the best game of his Crimson Tide career, just dots all over the field. And no disrespect to Jalen Milroe, who threw a dot in his last pass that we saw, that's just not his game. And Georgia, if there's anything Georgia's not going to allow, it's going to be a dual threat quarterback to run crazy all over them. So I think they make Jalen Milroe one-dimensional, and Bama's best bet is to try to make Georgia one-dimensional, and I don't see it happening. Quietly, Georgia has been, maybe after Michigan, the most balanced team in the sport. And then they bring that defense with them as well. So it's just not a good matchup for Alabama. Again, everything is on the line for the Tide. Georgia's probably in either way, but I don't think that scenario goes down 2 times in a row. Not as good and as deep as Georgia is. And like Gorney said, Carson Beck, he's been really great. I mean, there's some NFL talk with him, some early NFL talk with him, and this will be obviously his biggest showcase game to prove it. So, yeah, this line was another surprising one, almost my lock of the week if it was more than a touchdown, but it isn't. So I think Georgia can handle this one and win by double digits.
If I could just take a pass this week on this game, I would. But I'll just have to – I don't know. I can't trust my eyes. I got no rules. I don't know what I am now. So I guess I got to be a numbers guy. And you know what? Kirby has failed me a lot in my rules this year, and that's why I will take Bama +6 just because Saban knows he won't win this game. There's absolutely no way he's going to win this game, and I don't know how he's going to cover this game. I'm hoping at the end Georgia will rush 2, and Jalen will have 35 seconds to think about his throw and get it off, and they score something to cover this game. But I'm just going to have to how I started week 1 to now week 14. I'll have to stick with my rules. I'll go Saban, and I don't love it. And I'm just going to have to just swallow my pride on this one and hope we come out with the win here. But you guys said all the right things about Georgia. I think it really is the play, but I'm going to go with Saban here because Saban knows always. All right, short week. That's it. Lock of the weeks. I don't think I picked one. I'll just go New Mexico. Just because I don't know. You guys also the right things that convinced me enough. I don't want to pick the same games as you guys. So give me New Mexico State against Liberty. Gorney picked Boise State. John, Washington. And that's it. Another great week of the Mush. We'll get some bowl games going here shortly. Been a fun season. But as always, please follow us on all the social media platforms, either national or individually on all the sites. I'm Corey Gibson. That's Adam Gorney, John Garcia Jr. That's been another great week of the Mush. Thanks, fellas.
See you guys.